Hello and welcome to the Windows XP installation through libvirt, presented by Tech406. So this one here we'll go through setting up everything. This is probably one of the most supported old OSs that you can install through KVM. It supports VirtIO, QXL, and everything else, so it's fully supported. And I doubt they're just going to remove those drivers from the disk, so it should be supported indefinitely. So first, let's go through quickly here what you're gonna end up seeing. So let's go to Manage. We're gonna go to Device Manager to just show you how everything's good. So disk drives, we have, as you notice, the VirtIO SCSI disk adapter, as you can see there, and we also there is the ID, but we're not using this at all. We're just using the VirtIO for our main disk. As we'll go through afterwards, network adapter, we're using VirtIO Ethernet adapter. And for the, let's see what else we got here. Is there display adapters? Yeah, there's display. And then we have the Red Hat QXL GPU adapter as well through here. So you have all the things. And then we also have under sound, this installs by automatically. So this is not really a thing. It's automatic. So. But yeah, this device here I think is a very special device. We don't really care about. It doesn't really affect anything. Can't remember what it's for, but we don't really care about that anyways. So we're not going to go through that. But that is what we're going to set up through the video. In the next, I guess, it only takes like 50 minutes to do the install, but the drivers were another part you'll see. Anyways, and then we have the unattended file to make things quicker. So this file is on, actually I will show you because you probably didn't watch the 2000 video. This actually shows where the file is. So if you go into, so we have a file here called xp-unattend.img that has a bunch of stuff here. So we have this file here, which is basically on here. It's an answer file. I don't know if this file is actually used, but because this file doesn't exist. So, and then this file here, this CIF file, is right here. And there is a GUI program that you can use to actually build this file yourself and put it onto a disk. It's supplied, I believe, on the xp-install disk, if I'm not correct, or you can probably even get it off some website or Microsoft.com, I'm sure, as well. And you can it'll ask you all these questions, you just fill it in, or you can create this file yourself, either or. Anyways, this file basically allows you to unattend the full install. As you'll see in the next 30 minutes, you'll see this entire thing being installed. I guess actually next 15 minutes, because install is very, very quick. It's super fast. You just put your product ID in here, everything else you want, and just let it go. You can go have a cup of tea, have a cup of coffee, and just come back and it'll be installed. And then after it's installed, you do have to focus. There's a couple drivers to go through, as I mentioned earlier, the VirtIO stuff. You have the VirtIO Ethernet, you have the QXL display adapter, as well as the VirtIO SCSI adapter that you install afterwards. So, but yeah, that is what you're gonna have set up by the time you finish watching this video. So sit back and enjoy. And here is the installation for Windows XP through libvirt using KVM. So we're going to use virt-install, of course. The virt-install command you see here will be provided in the description of the video, so don't worry about that. So we're going to do virt-type is KVM, of course. The name is going to be winxp. The cdrom, OS's, winxp, this is a Slipstream Service Pack 2. I had troubles slipstreaming Service Pack 3 a long time ago, so I just didn't bother. So you can install Service Pack 2 yourself afterwards. And OS variant is winxp. And we got disk size, 4 should be fine. You can increase it to whatever you want, of course. Get 1 gig of memory should be alright for this. Disk vol. We got that we're going to use the xp-unattend image just to make things quicker and more pleasant. Make sure device equals floppy. And of course the sound is AC97. Everything else can actually remain the same because it actually does choose the right devices. The only device that doesn't choose correctly is the sound for some reason, even though you select the variant as XP. You would expect all the other devices to work, but for some reason it just doesn't. I don't even think it even gives you the right. I think it still chooses the E1000 network adapter, which doesn't have drivers in XP either. So we're going to keep it that way for now because we're going to install the VirtIO ones anyways, so we don't really care about that network driver regardless. So we're going to start the install now, and it shouldn't take too long actually. Unless KVM really isn't going, like I keep saying in the last video, but we'll see. You can also install third-party SCSI and RAID drivers too by going that way if you really wanted to do it that way, but there's really no reason. It's easier just to do it this way and then install it and install stuff after the fact if you really want to, because you can install the vir storage and everything afterwards as well if you really wanted to. That way you can get more. More performance out of the storage and everything. I'm going to go through some of that as well. I'm going to go through the installation of those things after it goes through. So we'll go through all of it. So. I have a feeling this isn't going through KVM, but if it isn't, this is still very performant. If you think about it, like if it's using software emulation or software-based virtualization, it's doing a pretty darn good job. Well, QEMU is pretty good, as it was called, quick emulator, right? Back in the day, it was always a pretty good system. So we'll see. But once it does reboot over, it's going to be pretty automatic once it comes through, as you'll come to see. That was actually pretty fast. And then this entire part should be fully auto, because the unattended file. So it says it'll take approximately 39 minutes. If it does take 39 minutes, which I doubt it will, then that really does mean that KVM is not there. But I doubt it's going to take 39 minutes. And it looks like the USB driver is already there, because you can tell the mouse already works flawlessly in here, so that's perfect. So, yeah. But yeah, as we got here like in record time. So virt-install is pretty darn good, I have to say. So it's definitely the recommended. Virt-install definitely is the recommended way to create VMs here, because it's much more streamlined and much more quicker and much more easier to get everything going out of the box, right? So, and in theory, this should work. Virt-install should work on well, I'd have to see actually, because if this technically isn't using KVM and using QEMU's emulation entirely, in theory, you should be able to even get a Raspberry Pi 4, for example, because Pi 4s are actually super, like, I've heard those things, they have lots of memory, like up to 8 gigabytes of memory for one, which is quite a lot compared to the other systems. You can run stuff on there, no problem, I'm sure. And also the clock rate is much more higher than the 3 or anything else. So you should be able to run like emulators no problem. Like I heard the Pi 4 is really good at some game emulation. Another channel that you can check out that has a lot of really good stuff on the Raspberry Pi and emulation of games would be ETA Prime. He's really good at a lot of going through lots of single board computers and going through various rigorous tests. So I usually watch him just to figure out which device, because emulators definitely put machines to their capacity. So it really pushes a lot of systems. So if the machine's able to say emulate like PS2 or games, then it's definitely pretty good. Because I believe ETA Prime mentioned on his channel when he did the Raspberry Pi 4 that he was able to run like some Dreamcast games even. And Dreamcast, that's pretty, Dreamcast emulation is difficult, right? And for the Raspberry Pi 4 to do Dreamcast, that's quite amazing. So, a good way to test a device to see how good it is and performant it is to use emulators, right? So if the emulator runs really well on that device, then obviously the device is doing a really good job with their instructions. So, and their clock rate and that, right? So I have a feeling this is going through the soft MMU version, because I checked the logs and I can't figure out if it is or not. The only way to find out would be to do this installation again, but just give this user access to the KVM device and to see what happens. That's my only idea. Because usually when you start QEMU and it can't connect to it, usually it spits out saying I can't talk to the dev/KVM or something like that, right? It says it literally can't talk to the KVM device. It says it can't start KVM. So you don't have permission, right? But none of the logs are saying that. So either libvirt gets by it somehow. I don't know how though, because I looked at my groups and things like that, and there's really no group that I could see it at how it would get by it. So my only thought is that these are actually running using the soft MMU. And if these are running using the soft MMU, I have to say this is definitely pretty good. Like, it's definitely performing a lot better than I'd expect it to perform, to be honest. Like, I don't think I was talking for like 8 minutes there, but it jumped down from, less than that, definitely. It jumped down from 39 minutes to 31 minutes. Now it's installing the network, and after it installs the network, it's just going to the last phase, and then it'll reboot soon. So this will be a good benchmark, though, just to determine, because these videos will show me how long these installs take by video format, right? So then if I give the user access to KVM and then redo the installs, because doing these installs is so easy with virt-install. Like, as you just saw, I just ran virt-install with the command, with the ISO image and everything else, hit enter, and boom, it's, as long as you have the unattend file, it's super simple. And now you're going to see the setup will complete in approximately, it'll start to spin down for like 26, 25 minutes. It went down so fast. Completing installation, right? Like, if this is the soft MMU, then I'm actually very impressed. QEMU does a great job. Bit of trivia here. VirtualBox recently removed its soft MMU. So in VirtualBox, in recent versions of VirtualBox, you're forced to use the hardware virtualization now. So that's a problem, though. Say if you want to run a VirtualBox machine next to another machine, one of the machines can't use the processor's virtual machine extensions, or you're going to run into problems. So generally run into problems. Like, there's people online that are saying, oh yeah, you as long as you start your QEMU machines first with the extensions, then VirtualBox won't complain. But if you start the other direction, start your VirtualBox machines first, because VirtualBox will basically pop up an error, basically complaining that something's already using the virtualization, whereas QEMU doesn't. I am kind of worried about that, to be honest. Like, they say only one virtualization software should be using the processor's virtualization technology at one given time. So I would not want to test that in a production environment at all. And I wouldn't recommend anybody else do either, because it makes sense. Because if you look at how that processor virtualization works, the system has to be able to keep track of the virtual machine somehow. And if you're using two different virtualized technologies, using two different separate kernel modules, like there's KVM Intel, KVM AMD, which you'll be using for KVM stuff, and then of course you have the VirtualBox kernel module as well. You don't know what those modules are doing and how they're keeping track of the virtualizations of each. They can't see each other's virtualizations, so at that point you could be clashing, you could be causing some state issues, and eventually you could cause your system to get very unstable. So I would never recommend to run more than one virtualization technology at the same time, or else you're just going to have problems. Like my coworker, for example, on his work Windows laptop, for example, he installed VirtualBox and he was having weird glitches all the time, and he was wondering why. But I think he was also using the newest version of WSL that goes through Hyper-V. So I think that was part of the problem, because the new Windows subsystem for Linux actually uses Hyper-V and emulates the full Linux kernel OS and everything, and creates a disk image, right? Where the previous versions of WSL did not. The previous version of WSL actually had a hook in the Windows kernel that actually was able to translate Linux or POSIX API, Unix API calls over to Windows API calls, and that way it was able to work correctly. So you're able to use sockets and everything else. But that was so glitchy, so Microsoft in the end decided to forego that idea and instead decided to use Hyper-V and just run the Linux kernel directly through Hyper-V on Windows. So I suspect my coworker was having issues with that because he was running VirtualBox and not knowing that WSL was also running as well there, and they were both causing and they were both trying to use the processor's virtualization technology, which then caused his VirtualBox to become super unstable to the point where it just wasn't usable. Okay, so I'm going to open it up the other way because we're going to have sound right away. or we should. We should have sound. Yep. And it's installed. And you can just go through the regular stuff. Since updates are no longer supported on this, just go not right now. No point in pressing that when Microsoft doesn't even support this. And then just enter. Super simple. And look at that. That was only less than 15 minutes. And that was like the first 2 minutes was just me setting it up. So 10 minutes basically to get it all done. It's actually not too shabby. If this is going through the soft MMU, I'm actually quite surprised on how good this is. Because KVM, I'm kind of wondering if it'll even be faster, like 5 minutes. Like, I swear it was quicker before through KVM. But anyway, it's set up. So, I don't think we even need to worry about the VBE. Yeah, okay. Oh yeah, there is no VBE when XP supports everything out of the box. So, that's good. I can't remember what else I would need to install here, actually. What else did I plop in there? Oh, right. So there is the factory of the driver. So let's check if the network driver actually went through or not. I don't think it did. Let's go manage. Let's go to device manager. Yeah, Ethernet controller is gone, and VGA controller, even though it did work, it's still not there. But don't worry about it. It should be fine. Oh, actually, Windows XP does support the QXL device, and I believe QXL is what I have here. Yep, QXL. So let's do that. So let's install the drivers we need for this. So we're going to go here. We're going to go to cdrom. We're going to eject that disk, and we're going to go OS's, refresh, VirtIO. So now we're going to put this in, and I'll go through this in a second, actually. Well, actually, it'll be very, very soon. Okay, so we had opened up right away. So let's first get the QXL in there. Properties, settings, advanced, adapter, properties, driver. Weird. I don't like how that works. It's annoying. Classic control panel view. Add hardware. Next. Yes, I've added the hardware already. Let's click onto this. Okay, let's not do that then. Let's just go to that. And select from a list, display adapters. Have disk. Browse. And there's the QXL here, XP, x86, QXL, open, OK. Oh, that's strange. Yeah. That. Huh. That's very weird. How did I install that before? don't think that's how I install it. Oh. Well, that's strange. Don't know why that file is, because that file isn't actually correct, which is very weird. Huh. That is very strange. Because I was able to install it before in my other thing, I swear. That's really weird. Anyways, let's go and try something. Actually, let's try something else. I got an idea. Let's go here and go update driver. There we go. No. Next. Advanced. Do not search. I'll find the driver myself. Display adapters. Hap disk. D. Okay. Huh. It's almost like it's not a QXL. Huh. Oh, wait. Mind you, I did update QEMU recently before I did this, so it's very well possible. Because the previous version of QEMU had issues with the soft MMU. Or not really just that, but it wasn't able to run Windows 9X at all. It had some issues, so I had to update QEMU on my machine. I wonder if now this new version of QEMU... Oh, there we go. Okay. Phew. I got worried there for a second. Okay, let's update this driver now too. Let's do that. It should find it, no problem, off the disk. It's kind of how it searched last time for it, so. There, once this Ethernet's installed, then after that, everything is good to go. The VirtIO storage, that's another thing that we can also do as well. To do that, it's my controller. Do not connect the internet now. Back. That's all from a list. x86. Huh. Okay. Yeah, I think this is probably because I don't have the right, because there is two VirtIO disks that I have, so that's probably the reason why, is that I don't have the right one in there for this, because there's another disk as well. Here, let me see if I can grab it. VirtIO-win that, copy to here. Okay, I need to elevate. Sorry. Drivers. VirtIO-win. Copy that. and bring that over here. Okay. Okay, there's another one here. This is an older image actually that I had lying around. But apparently I think this is this is the one that actually probably will work with this. It's weird though if it, oh wait, I know why it's not working. Yeah. Okay, anyways, let's do I gotta do a shutdown anyway, so I'm gonna shut this, we're gonna do a shutdown, we're gonna actually go through this correctly here. So let's do turn off. Yeah, that's why that didn't work. Apologize for the few minutes of time wasting there, but yeah. Okay, so we're gonna switch this over. Switch over to VirtIO and apply that. So now VirtIO is enabled. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go add hardware. And we are going to add just a 2 gigabyte disk. And it's going to go through the VirtIO. And finished. There we go, VirtIO disk. Now, if we boot it up, or actually we're going to swap, we're going to put the disk back to this one, the one that has the better drivers in it. Apply that, and we're going to boot it up now. Okay, oh, found the SCSI controller, and nope. Recommended. It should now find everything, no problem. And once it finds everything, then I can end this portion. I can end the video. But yeah, just make sure you set the adapters correctly, or yeah, you can also set the model up right away through the as you noticed the virt-install can also set the model. If you set your network type and then go comma model equals you can use put VirtIO there, no problem at all. So yeah, just wait a second for this to go through. We could have just selected it ourselves. Might have been easier that way, to be honest, than having to scan everything. I kind of just want to press back. At the same time, I don't, because it's probably up there. Just right. Continue anyways. Okay. There, Red Hat VirtIO Ethernet adapter. There we go. Boom. And nope. You can install it automatically as well, I'm sure. It should work just fine. It should find the VirtIO adapter and then install it, and then we'll have access to the 2 gigabyte disk. But then we're going to shut down and we're going to reboot it again with the main disk attached to VirtIO storage, and then voila! At that point, XP is then using VirtIO storage driver, which should increase the speed of everything and make XP much more responsive, I guess you could say. Yeah, I feel like I should have just went to the other option there. I think it's going to be done right away. Yep, there it goes. Red Hat VirtIO SCSI controller. Continue anyways because it's not signed. And finished. Now, if we go to my computer, we should now see or actually we won't. Haha. We actually won't. Because we got to go manage. We're going to get rid of the disk anyways, but I just want to make sure it's there. So we're going to go to disk management. Next. Finished. Yep, there it is. 2 gigabyte unallocated right there. Okay, and we're good. Now we're going to just, we are going to shut down again, and we're going to swap it out. So turn off, turn off, turn off. Okay. After it's off, we're going to swap it out, and we'll be good to go. Okay, we can eject that now. We can remove this image. Poof. Changing the type isn't very easy. We have to actually remove it, and then we add hardware, storage. We manage. We select our main volume again. Disk drive. We go to VirtIO and click on to finished. Poof. Now we have VirtIO disk 1, which is this. You can actually, I want that because I want to. Okay, I think we're good. It should boot up now with this one. So let's boot it. Okay, we're going to increase this to 800 by 600, so there we go. Apply. Yes, okay. And there we go. We are now running in with full KVM support. Everything's installed for KVM. Well, there's some things that aren't, but for the most part, everything is good. Networking and disk are KVM, which is the two important things. And video technically is using QXL, so we're getting optimal video output as well. Anyways, that is the Windows XP installation using KVM. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.